Hello and welcome everyone to AABN's 130th weekly webinar series. Let me begin by thanking the core committee members of AABN who have cooperated closely with the task force in organizing this event. This webinar series by AABN is indeed an eclectic one, bringing together small business owners, leaders, technical assistant providers, government officials, and members of the academic community to explore the challenges faced by today's entrepreneurs and to identify promising approaches to addressing their needs. Events such as this one is particularly valuable because they allow us to draw on a broad range of experiences and evidence. We are keenly interested in hearing your insights and look forward to sharing results from AABN's continued small business outreach. We have got an awesome speaker with fresh perspectives on thinking design, Desi aesthetic, and global relevance to address us. Let me extend a very warm welcome to our eminent guest speaker, Dr. Sundararaman Chintamani, founder and CEO, Jignesh Kia, to this interactive business networking session. The contribution of entrepreneurship and innovation to economic prosperity has grown with the shift of the global economy towards a mode of production in which knowledge has become a key input. The challenges of the knowledge economy originally interested the most advanced economies, but are now critical to growth in emerging economies as well. The growing importance of knowledge as a factor of production means that innovation is ever more related to creativity, and the latter fits better the modus operandi of entrepreneurs and small firms. Design thinking and developing a business model are essential components for coming up with a business idea or expanding the growth of our business. In today's webinar, we will get to understand more about how to incorporate design thinking in all aspects of our business to stimulate growth and innovation. In today's webinar, we will get to understand more about how to incorporate design thinking in all aspects of our business to stimulate growth and innovation. Dr. Sundararaman will be sharing some pertinent ground rules and some valuable best practices that he has learned directly from using design thinking in his field. Dr. Sundararaman will help our entrepreneurs to identify which aspects we must address to harness the full potential of a transition. At a juncture we find ourselves in today, there can be no one more fitting than Dr. Sundararaman to address, enlighten, and take questions from the diverse group on thinking design, Desi aesthetic, and global relevance. Dr. Sundararaman Chintamani is a certified independent director, has experience in excess of 40 years from varied industries. After starting his career in the plant operations in Chennai Petroleum Corporation Limited, earlier MRL, and later he moved on to the IT and ITS industry. He is familiar with the hardware and software, but never forgot the humanware. That is how he exhibited his passion towards initiatives. A couple of years back, he founded Jignesh Kia. He is an oil and gas domain consultant offering services in Industry 4.0 and training services on digital solutions. He conducts workshops on business storytelling, design thinking, mind mapping, presentation skills, and creative thinking. He was one of the founding pillars of Professional Speakers Association of India and was the past president of its Chennai chapter. He delivers keynote speeches on multiple topics. He has a MS degree in technology operations from BITS Pilani and a doctorate in development of cybersecurity mandate for Indian oil and gas industry from the University of Petroleum and Energy Studies. Has a certificate of global business leadership from SSL, Harvard Business School of Publishing, and U21 Global. He is a distinguished Toastmaster and received an award for his paper on development of cybersecurity mandate for Indian oil and gas industry, issued by the School of Business, University of Petroleum and Energy Studies, Dehradun. As we discuss different emerging views and innovations in the industry, the opportunities and challenges, I believe today is going to be a day of learning for each one of us. Hope you all have a very engaging and enriching day that's beneficial for the future of your careers and the industry at large. Thank you, and over to you, Dr. Sundararaman.
Sir, you are on mute, sir.
Thank you, Gopi, as well the EXCOM members of AABN. I am really proud and privileged to speak in front of this august audience. And I am also understanding that some of you are, many of you are entrepreneurs and many of you run a multi-crore business. And whatever way I am going to share may be redundant for some of you, but definitely I think through some case studies as well by sharing the 5-step process of design thinking, will be able to add value to you. So let me start sharing my screen. Right. So by the way, there is a small disclaimer. The title of my speech is Desi Design Thinking, the Indian Way of Innovation, not as mentioned in the flyers. So there was a little bit of communication gap. So today I'm going to talk about design thinking and the Indian version, which I have named it as Desi Design Thinking. Okay. So I think some of you are familiar with this term, and this term, the design thinking has become a buzzword in the last 10 years, especially when we talk about the startup community. So what is design thinking all about? Design thinking is an attitude or the mindset to keep the end user in mind and try to come out with products or services accordingly. Right. For example, as a speaker, as a trainer, I frequently use this slide changer. So if you see the design of this particular product, the original manufacturer would have taken all aspects of user into consideration. For example, it should be so handy, it should sit in my palm, and it should not have any sharp edges. So it is aesthetically and designed, and it should also have the functional features. For example, when I click the one button, it should automatically move my slide to the front, or whenever I want to come back, it should allow me to do that. And some add-on features like laser pointer, these things are added. So mostly, so in today's manufacturing world, every product has been kept the user in mind. But this concept actually, though the name is recent, but the concept is not new. So way back in 60s, 70s itself, the manufacturing people started keeping the end user in mind. But later, then the concept has been adopted by the architects and the city landscape builders way back in 70s. But in 1990, so there are a few groups. So one company called IDEA. So it is named as IDEA, as well as the D School of Stanford University. They try to extensively understand the concept, and then they try to come out with a framework. So though the concept is even not new for you, the understanding the 5-step process will help you to systematically understand the process. That is what I'm going to quickly mention here and then start my session. So the standards D School stand for Design School. So they have come out with a 5-step process elaborating how this productized approach can be taken care. So the very first step is to start empathizing with your customers. Sometimes your customer will have another downstream customer, the customer's customer. So you have to start empathizing. So without empathizing the customer, if you come out with a product due to your own ingenuity or your own creativity, so if it is not going to meet their pain area, so then it is not going to be successful. So the empathy is a very, very fundamental aspect of a design thinking process. So in fact, when we talk about design thinking, the actual training itself will take a couple of days. And during this couple of days, the groups are divided into small groups, and each one is asked to go and talk to their end customers and do a survey. So in reality, so once the design thinking workshop is complete, the organization, for example, if I'm talking to one company called ABC Corporation, which is coming out their products to XYZ customer, they have to go, they have to arrange for an empathy interview process. The empathy interview process will happen over a period of 3 days to 5 days or even 10 days. So depending on the complexity of the customer, they have to go and talk to each and every one of these stakeholders. For example, when I did this workshop within my last organization, so we were all trying to solve the problem of the employee transportation. So I was working for an IT organization. Around 5,000 people used to come to office from different parts of the city, and most of them, almost 80% of them, used to avail the company bus facility. So we want to address the issues of the anything related to the company bus transportation. So that's when we started talking to the employees who are availing the bus service. Then we talked to the drivers of the bus, the cleaners of the bus, then the admin guys who are in charge of this bus. And then only when we did the empathy interview, we came to know that there is a person called route champion. So amongst one of the employees, one person is identified as the route champion. He will be the single point of contact in the bus, and in case of any emergency, he will be able to take on the spot decision on behalf of the company. So then, after having a complete 360 degrees overview or 360-degree interview, then we could understand all the pain areas or the problem statements of the stakeholders. Then the next step is you may have 100 pain issues of the customer. So you cannot boil the ocean, you cannot solve all the problems. Or sometimes many of the problems may be trivial. So even if you address these trivial problems, the customer satisfaction will not improve a lot. But there, as per the Pareto's Pareto's law, 20% of the problems can solve 80% of your issues. So that is what we do in the second phase, known as definition phase. The definition phase, we come back and do a debriefing. So in fact, we go as a single individual is not going for interview. We go as a team, and the team comprises of people with multiple skill sets, right? Even if I am going to interview do the empathy interview for oil and gas customer, one of my interview panel member will be from finance background. So each one will give a different kind of perspective. So once we come back, we discuss and then debrief and then try to list down all the challenges and then try to prioritize. For example, just 3 problems of the customer may solve almost 70 to 90% of the customer's issue. Then we will try to identify those problems and define it as the problem statement. Then the third aspect, the third step is known as ideation phase. So once we know the pain statement, then we have to come out with the innovative ideas to resolve the problem. And this can happen over multiple instruments. For example, either we can do a brainstorming session, or we can use mind map to list down all the problems and then drill down. So by which we'll get more clarity. So there are several issues. So even there is a concept known as biomimicry. For example, in Japan, when the bullet train was asked to increase the speed from 400 miles to 500 miles speed, the design engineer was having some issues. That means actually he has designed the train engine, but the moment it passes through, as you know, the Japan, the bullet trains will pass through a lot of tunnels. So when these trains pass through the tunnel, it will be pushing a huge pocket of the wind. And the moment it comes out of the tunnel, it will create a huge noise, so which is known as sonic boom. So this sonic boom was a big hindrance for all the residents as well as the living creatures. So immediately the public started protesting for this high-speed bullet train. And that is when the chief engineer went back and then tried to modify the engine. So at that point of time, so since he is also having one of his hobbies was to do bird watching, so known as ornithology. So one day when he was watching a kingfisher sitting on a branch of a tree, and all of a sudden it jumped into the water and picked a fish, everything happened in a jiff. And without any splash, without any big issue, it so seamlessly entered into the water and then came out of the water. That is when he started thinking, and then finally figured out that the design of the beak is not a sharp beak. It is not a what is that equilateral triangle of any other bird, but it was having a curvature on the top surface of the beak. So that's where he started thinking about it, and finally decided to apply this natural design to his own bullet train. So that's how the bullet trains took the form of a kingfisher's beak. Right? That was able to reduce the friction, and it also greatly reduced the sonic boom as a pain area. So there are several instruments for doing the ideation process. So I'm just mentioned about mind mapping, brainstorming, then biomimicry. Then we have something known as mental calisthenics. So due to paucity of time, I'm not going in depth. So because I need to cover, I want to talk about the 5-step process, and I also want to focus on Desi design thinking. So Desi design thinking means I want to showcase some Indian examples of innovation. So the moment we talk about innovation, most of the forums, people talk about Steve Jobs and Apple products. but I am not for it. The reason is people will appreciate all the creative or innovative aspects of Apple products as well as the vision of Steve Jobs. But somewhere at the back of their mind, they'll say that it is all possible in Apple. So it is all possible in US. It is all possible when their technology is so, what is that, integrally tied up. But in my organization, it may be difficult. So that is the reason I am trying to adopt this design thinking into Desi design thinking and try to come out with Indian examples so that can immediately think, yes, my colleague in Maharashtra has done this, why not I do it in Tamil Nadu? So my colleague has done this in Uttar Pradesh, why not I do it in Karnataka? So that kind of mindset, if it is there, then acceptance will be more. So that is all about ideation. And at the moment ideation comes, then the next immediate step is known as prototyping. So I think many of you would have already done prototyping because I understand that some of you are in the plant or some of you are in the business of manufacturing goods. So I think prototype is a must. The reason is a prototype will help the customer to understand what you are thinking about the pain area as well as how you are trying to address the problem. Right. So otherwise, when I have a concrete idea, but when I try to share it in a PowerPoint or when I try to just talk over phone, the customer will not have will not be able to get a clarity. The moment you come out with a prototype, then you get absolute clarity. And once the prototype is ready, then you release it to the customer and ask him to give feedback, which is known as the last step, testing. So you get a feedback and then again you refine. So this is an endless iteration process until the customer is absolutely satisfied. Because most of the time, we take enormous amount of time and then we take time to build the product or prototype. And after 3 months or 4 months, we go back to the customer. The customer will be totally taken aback and they'll say, no, I think you have totally understood it wrong. So what I meant was different and what you had designed is totally different. So probably you should have come back to me. So immediately once you have ready with the concept. So that kind of disappointment and surprise element should not happen. So if that is happening, that is going to be the waste of energy for every one of us, for us as well as the customers. That is why the testing is also important. So as I said, though the design thinking concept is old, but the D-School came out with a 5-step process. You are able to approach all your product conceptualization or process conceptualization, applying these 5-step process, definitely the business will be sustainable. In fact, today, most of the startup companies, they are adopting this process. It is a proven process. So now I mentioned about the empathy as the very first process in the 5-step process. So now let's try to understand similar looking terminologies. So we come to know about empathy, sympathy, apathy. Any idea what do these different terms mean? Any idea? What is, well, first let's start with the question. What is the difference between sympathy and empathy? Anyone? So you can unmute and answer or you can use the chat window.
Sir, sympathy is fitting oneself, sir.
Sir, can you be a little louder, please?
Sympathy is feeling compassion towards others, sir.
Okay.
Yeah. My name is Sudhir Kumar. Sympathy means it just we are trying to pity the person without really trying to solve the pain points of the person. Empathy is we are trying to really from the heart, we want to solve the pain point of the person.
Absolutely, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you, Sudhir. So as you mentioned, sympathy is, immediately you become emotional, right? So many times we do that, someone is in distress, we say, oh my God, I totally, I feel sorry for it, but you are not jumping into any action. So sometimes you also become emotional and it become part of the problem. But whereas empathy means more of logic, not the emotions do not come from the heart, but you are trying to approach like an adult. So you try to use logical and analytical skill and solve the problem primarily to help the person. So both the person with sympathy as well as empathy, both are trying to help, but the person who with the sympathetic attitude, he is not jumping into action, whereas the person with empathy, he is jumping into action, understanding the ground reality. So for example, in this picture, you see someone is sinking in the quicksand. So there is no point in trying to help him by you also jump into the quicksand. You have to take care of the surroundings and then try to help. And then there is also a third aspect known as apathy. I think apathy is all about the indifferent attitude. So most of the time you can see, I think some of you already worked in government sector. So, but the hard fact, bitter fact is sometimes government employees, they have such kind of apathetic attitude. So the moment you go to a public sector or a telephone department or any government agencies, they don't proactively come and try to help you. So because everything is assured and the apathetic attitude will not help. That's why today everyone is talking about privatization and even the critical infrastructure. So these are the basic differentiation between the terms sympathy, apathy, and apathy. So with that, let's move on. So let's move on to the, so I think definition I already explained, that is after listing down all the products, you identify only one or two. That is called definition phase. So with that, I'll jump into the third phase known as ideation. So when we talk about ideation, there are again three similar terms which are related to ideation: idea, invention, and innovation. Can someone throw light on the differentiation between these three terms: idea, invention, and innovation? What is idea? What is invention? What is innovation? This slide is very important. I think many of you know that. So subconsciously you may know it.
So idea is, just a thought and it doesn't have any major benefits. The invention
Yes.
is the next phase where you can just take credit and publish papers and all. Innovation is kind of a startup where you are making it profitable for mass use.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Ramesh. So idea is the process. No, you get a new thought. So and idea need not be related to your domain. Many times, we give ideas on everything. So, for example, even after watching a 3 hours movie, Bahubali, we'll say the director should have you should have done the climax in a different manner. So we give ideas on random things. So many times, so these ideas they are never useful. But when we move on to invention, you try to put in your time, effort, and resources, and then come out with something concrete known as, for example, we already talked about prototype or proof of concept. So we try to come out with something demonstrable in nature, right? So the idea is only in mind, but whereas invention that can be demonstrated in front of your customers or any other stakeholder. Then the next invention and innovation, the major difference is you are trying to make it, the monetization is an important critical variable. So that is going to differentiate between invention and innovation. And many times we have ideas, we have also come out with the prototypes, but we don't know how to market it. We don't know how to scale it up. So in fact, in India, we have a lot of ideas. So and even I'll show it in the next slide. So primarily the difference is innovation is making it viable and commercially possible as an entrepreneur. So that is the major difference. So for example, here we see a lot of ideas. During the pandemic, so the milk vendor has come out with an idea so to maintain social distance. So all he had to do is pour the milk in the funnel, and the customer will receive it at the end of 5 feet. Then a girl from Kerala or some other state, has come out with a cycle. By pedaling it, you will be able to wash your clothes. Yeah, washing machine without taking power consumption. Then a lot of this kind of stuff, right? And the third one is someone has invented a machine for climbing coconut trees. So at what category these can all be classified? Idea, invention, or innovation?
I think it is invention.
Innovation, sir.
Mr. Saravanan, you have to be a little louder. I am unable to hear you.
Innovation, sir.
Innovation?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So yeah, I just mentioned that innovation involves the commercialization and the scaling it up. So have you ever seen washing machine in any store like Vasantan Co or any other white goods showroom? A washing machine using pedaling technologies?
There is more invention.
Right. So they are nowhere ideas, because after idea, they have already progressed. They have made some progress and came out with the demonstrable physical thing that can be demonstrated. But there, if you see here, so for example, the milk vendor, he has addressed a specific problem which is relevant for that time, right? So today it does not make any sense. So for pandemic, he has come out with a solution, a roundabout method to solve a temporary problem. And in India, in Hindi, we call this as jugaad. Jugaad means try to overcome a situation. But most of these jugaad will not be scaled up unless someone puts his complete brain onto it. And for example, if I want to market this washing machine that can be pedaled, so the idea and the technical team alone is not sufficient. So you need to have a CEO who should run the business. You need to have a CFO who will, or financial team to manage the finance, and you need a marketing team. So only when you have all the aspects, so which is known as a business case, only when you have the business case, you can go to the innovation phase. For example, in many organizations, they have something known as suggestion scheme or idea junction, and the employees keep gripping saying that I have shared an idea, but that was never taken up. The reason is when they share these ideas. So give me a second. Let me look into the chat window if there is any question. Okay, I think people have responded. There is no question. Yes. So when you are the employees keep gripping saying that no, the management has not taken up my idea. The reason is they have never come out with a total business case. For example, when I am trying to suggest some modification in the plan, so what will be the all the implications? So is it going to affect the safety of the system? The management of change, has it been taken care? Of course, you may not have all the details, but at least you should have some basic details about all this stuff. And finally, what is going to be the productivity improvement or profitability improvement in terms of percentage? So it need not be accurate, it can be ballpark. But the moment you are able to come out with a ballpark number, and if the management feels that this is a convincing idea, they will be ready to implement it. Why should they say no, right? So the reason why the suggestions are not taken up for further processing is mainly they are not adequately presented in the form of a business case. So if you want to come out with the form of a business case, you should have some complete blueprint or the proposal, right? So whether it can be for a new business or if you want to do a modernization or diversification, that complete roadmap is essential. And when we try to move on to the fourth phase prototype, as I mentioned earlier, a picture is worth 1,000 words, a prototype is worth 1,000 meetings. Instead of explaining over mail or PowerPoint again and again, if I come and demonstrate in front of the customer in one meeting, then most of the doubts will get cleared. So that is the strong driver for going for a prototype. So now let's also try to understand this this aspect. So that is the most valuable design, how it can be arrived. Number one, the desirability. So where do we get this desirability? What the customer wants, that is known as desirability. This will come from your empathy interview. When you do the empathy interview, you will try to understand what are all the challenges for the customer, what are all the pain points, and based on that, you are providing some solution. So that is being addressed in the desirability. Second thing is viability. Viability is addressed in the prototype phase. So you involve your technical guys. It may be a mechanical engineer, or it is going to be a software solution. Then you involve your architect, developer, coder, everyone. And finally, you say that, yes, this is viable, right? I can, this is technically possible. So once the moment you come out with a prototype, then it means the viability is taken care. Then the last important aspect is the feasibility part. Feasibility means at the end of the day, it should bring you revenue as well as bring revenue for your customer. Or sometimes the customer need not expect revenue. The customer, it should improve the productivity or the ease of operation. So only when all these three aspects are taken care, then your new solution will be known as the most valuable design. Then you can confidently go to the customer with the approach. So I'm just showing a picture. Any idea of what is this? Have you ever seen such kind of image or a item? What is this?
It
So
is
there are some clues.
food box. Food box.
Okay.
So is that a food vending machine?
Right. Correct. So this is a food vending machine. This is not like your what is that can vending machine. So I think you all would have seen can vending machine. By dropping 20 rupees, you will get a can of Coca-Cola or Sprite or something like that. But this is actually slightly different, large in the size, primarily food. So actually, this example I have taken it from my previous employer. So I was working for an IT organization where 5,000 people are there. In canteen, almost some people work in shift, some people, most of us work in general shift. So during the lunch hour, the food court, there will be huge crowd. Of course, the food court, we have Sarana Bhavan, Anjappar, A to B, Murugan Etrikade, all those people are there. But in spite of it, a huge crowd will be there. So that is where someone has come out with the idea. So this person, the entrepreneur who has designed this, has come out with this thought called food box. The food box actually, the picture is not very clear, but here a lot of trays are there. So in each of these trays, so the vendors will come and stack their food. For example, Anjappar, A to B. So mostly it will be a meal, vegetarian meal or a pulao, biryani kind of stuff in a plastic tray and covered. And then they will bring it and stack it up the early morning. And you have a point of sale kind of arrangement. The employee, all he has to do is swipe his credit card or insert the currency and select the menu what they want. And the moment the meal is selected, so then immediately the robotic arm will go from y-axis, x-axis, and then z-axis, and then it will try to put they put it to the microwave, and the microwave it will be heated, and then finally the food will be delivered. All this will happen within 50 seconds. Right? So that's where the vendor thought that he will be able to address the pain area of long queue, right? And it is not limited to one particular food. So as you see here, Anjappar, A to B, and Adayar on the Murugan Idli, so many other vendors are there. The customer has also got a lot of choices. The very first day, in fact, to install this and then to do the trial and error, the vendor has taken almost a month. So he was trying to calibrate everything, and then finally, on a particular day, he inaugurated. On the day, there was a huge queue. And the next day, the queue got reduced. And third, fourth day, almost 50% of the queue, the first day crowd was there. And the second week, fourth week, immediately the crowd started diminishing. And finally, within 1 month, there were no takers. And finally, after 1 to 2 months, the vendor has to take it back. So any guess why this particular product, the innovative product, has failed? Just to share your thoughts. So whether it is right or wrong.
Sir, in India, people like to be served food.
Okay. But
Most of the
getting
times.
served, it takes time, right? So without this machine, so it takes time. You have to wait for the queue for almost 10 to 15 minutes. So this is solving the waiting time problem. So do you still
And-
think that?
So one more thing is people may think old food is kept there reheated and
True.
given. I mean,
True, correct. So though the food is loaded on every day morning around 6 o'clock, people were little doubtful. So on what day it was prepared. So definitely if it is loaded at 6 a.m., definitely that would have been prepared midnight. And the second thing, the food is loaded in a plastic tray covered with a plastic cover. And when it is heated in a microwave oven, people were literally suspectful whether chemicals are released. So those kind of issues are there. But one important point is there. So I want you to address that one important point. I am not yet given clue for it. So
Veg and non-veg.
Yeah,
Veg and
Bhaskar.
non. Yeah. There could be a possibility of veg and non-veg mixing together.
Okay, I understand. But today, no one is though a lot of people opt for pure vegetarian, but they don't mind taking a pizza from a pizza vendor who is also preparing meat-based pizza. So I want a specific answer. Connected to the previous slide. Connected to the previous slide. The clue is in the previous slide.
so people can get in a QSR restaurant also at the same speed. Why would they go and take it from a machine?
So this is in a corporate organization where 5,000 employees are there. So it is not in a public restaurant.
Can you please show the previous slide 1 minute quickly?
Yeah,
please?
yeah, sure, sure.
Uh,
So it
Desire
is failed on all three aspects.
Yeah, sorry. Actually, while explaining the previous slide, I was talking about the technical aspect under viability and the financial aspect under feasibility, vice versa. So viability, the feasibility is all about the technical solution. Viability is all about finance. So actually here, the desirability is there. So though the customer has not spelled out, so the customer has unsaid want. So want is there, desirability is there, and technically it is also feasible. So that's why they have come out with the entire gadget, which is involving mechanical, electrical instrument, everything is taken care. But the important aspect of the viability is not there. So I have not mentioned that. So the same cafeteria. So actually the Sangeeta restaurant was also having a stall. They were selling their meal for 60 rupees, whereas the same meal is available here for 140 rupees. So for the first day, for the fancy of it, everyone opted for it. But after some time, people felt that why should I pay almost double the cost just for the machine, right? So it is not viable for them. And if it is not viable for the customer, it is also not viable for the vendor. So the viability is very, very important. So you may come out with some fancy solution addressing, in fact, I was talking to some of the startup groups a few weeks back. They were saying that when we have a brainstorming session, people come out with all kinds of solutions just because it is a brainstorming solution, the session. But finally, which solution is going to be viable, right? So viable, it should be viable for me as a solution provider. It should be viable for the end customer, right? So that is where the scaling and all those things matter. So that should be taken care. So with that, now we'll take a pause here. So all of you can, 1 minute, you can take your mobile and then scan this code. 1 minute, I'll also share this code in the. Are you able to scan this QR code? Take your mobile. So then, since this is a 1 hour session, normally design thinking is addressed as a 2 days workshop. So I want certain activities can be taken offline. So you can scan this QR code. So if you have any difficulty, please let me know. So you can, I have shared a Google survey document. So if you are an entrepreneur or if you are an aspiring entrepreneur, try to respond these questions. What is your pain area as a solution provider or a manufacturer? What are the pain areas of your customer as on date? So already you would have already given a solution, but there are some unresolved issues are there. So just make a note of it by entering in the survey form so that that will be reiterated into your mind. Let me share this in the chat window. Yes. I have shared this in the chat window. So you can click that or you can go to the Google form, survey form. And as this session progresses, you can keep filling it, or at the end of the session, you can fill it up. And at the end, you will also get a copy of your response, what you have entered. So that will explain the 5-step process, starting from empathy to ideation, innovation, etc. So let me give a quick overseas example, though I mentioned that I don't want to give examples like Apple and other kind of overseas products, but this is a classic example for design thinking. After that, then I'll jump into the Desi design thinking examples. So actually, all of you know, all of you would have experienced going for a MRI scan, either for yourself or for one of your family members. When you go to MRI scan, what are the kind of emotions you get. So how was your experience? Anyone who has gone to MRI scan, what kind of feeling you get?
It will be slightly scary, and the sound that MRI does it, and that noisy atmosphere makes you very
Intimidating.
it's not so good. Yeah.
Correct, correct. So absolutely. So though the MRI machine will be kept in a very clean environment, so the moment you go there now, the absolute silence will also make scary. And the moment you get into the machine, the technician will ask you to remove everything, all metallic objects, your wristwatch, mobile, belt, etc., etc. So in fact, a few years back in Bombay, there was a freak accident. An youngster who was accompanying his mother to MRI scan center, his mother was having some lung infection, and she used to carry an oxygen cylinder. And this guy has taken the oxygen cylinder into MRI's scan center, and the assistant, the person who is in the MRI scan center, he forgot to tell that the cylinder has to be kept outside. But the moment the mission is started, it creates a huge magnetic field, and immediately the guy got pulled into the mission, and then he was killed on the spot. So that is the kind of intensity of the mission. And the main thing, as you mentioned, I think Pradeep or you mentioned the sound, peculiar sound, right? And he will also say that breathe in, breathe out. So all this will make you intimidating, right? And you also, and even the moment you are asked to lie down on the bed and you are pushed inside, you get a different kind of feeling. Whether am I going to an electrical furnace or something like that, varied thoughts come to our mind and people get scared. So, so when even adults have such kind of issues, then obviously children will also have such kind of issues. The guy, the image on the left side, he is the person who has designed this. So originally, General Electric GE Corporation has very first to come out with the MRI scan machine. So the person known as Doug Dias is the chief engineer who was instrumental in designing this equipment. And primarily the MRI, when it was discovered or released in the market, it was helping a lot of issues for doctors. So without any doing invasive diagnostic, they were able to understand the problem through invasive technology, non-invasive method. So the moment, so especially in Western world, even when you go to a doctor and say that I have headache, immediately he'll ask you to go for an MRI scan. In India, we'll go the other way. So we'll try to apply Amardanjan, and if it is not resolved, then we'll take Sukashayam and then next to go to a doctor. So it will. But in the US, since the doctors can be sued for failing in their duty, and the medical field itself is so complicated, so they will immediately ask you to do a MRI scan to de-risk their profession. So it was helping doctors a lot. Ultimately, it was also helping the patients. And the Doug Dias was so happy that he has come out with a revolutionary product, and he was so proud. And he used to visit all the hospitals once it's installed and try to get positive feedback. But once he went to an hospital, he found that there was a big commotion happening in the pediatric ward. The children were all crying. So, and then he tried to figure out what was happening, and finally came to know that when the children were asked to go to the MRI scan, they were all scared and they started crying. And in fact, some of the children, they were all given sedative to do the MRI scan. So he was totally upset. So literally, he started empathizing. He started empathizing those kids. Unfortunately, for no reason, they are all being sedated, and sedation definitely will have some side effect. So he was so upset about it. Then immediately he wanted to come out with an innovative idea so that this problem statement can be addressed. And he started discussing this problem statement with his team members, and then finally no one could come out with a concrete idea. So because it is all combination of factors that is making the patient intimidated. So finally, Doug Dias also went to the D School, Stanford D School, and attended design thinking program, and finally came out with a wonderful product that drastically resolved all the pain areas. Any guess what was the solution? Any guess? How he resolved the issue?
Play music while they are inside the MRI scan, that particular instrument.
Okay. You are partially right. Anyone else with
I
little more
think
specific?
using fairy tale stories. Stories.
Okay, I think you are also partially right. So due to positive time, let me jump into the answer. So actually what they have done is they have not functionally, they have not changed anything, but the user interface they change. So the look and feel of the machine they change. And then they said this is like an adventure game for the kids. And it is all installed in all the pediatric departments. At the moment the children come, the counselor will tell a story, say that the children, you guys will be going for a marine ride, and during this ship journey voyage, there will be pirates who will attack you. They will come and attack you. So you have to be silent for 20 minutes or 15 minutes, depending on the need. So at the end, then your voyage will be completed. So such kind of story building was happening, storytelling was happening, and the children were taking it so happily, right? And in fact, once this became successful, without making any major modification, then the GE came out with different other themes like the Mickey Mouse series, or then you have the aquarium. So there are several other themes you can Google and then find out. So these were all branded as GE Adventure series. So this is a very classic example for design thinking, because Doug Dias started empathizing, and then he was trying to do the definition phase with his own team members, and then finally attending the design thinking workshop, he started ideating, and then they finally came out. This has not happened overnight. They were trying to come out with several iterations, and finally they came out with a product that resolved all the pain issues. So that is a classic case. Now let me give another Indian example. I think some of you may be familiar with this person. So who is this person, and what is the relation with McDonald's? Have you seen this picture anywhere? Any idea? Our own Indian
Hudson founder.
Huh?
Hudson founder.
Sorry,
Hudson
sir.
Sorry, Hudson founder.
Hudson, no. Do we have anyone from Madurai?
Ramesh Idli?
No, sir. So I don't think he has.
Murugan Idli, sorry.
Okay. So this is actually Dr. Govindasamy Venkatappa. Actually, he is the founder and president of Arvind Hospital in Madurai. Right. So once he went to US. So today, I think all of us are familiar with the Subway, McDonald's. So everything is available even in Chennai, right? Even in Chennai, and when you go to Subway restaurant, the look and feel will be same everywhere, and the taste will be same, because everything is something like assembly line, right? So the person who is putting all the ingredients will be continuously doing the same job. So until he gets into a different role. So, and one person will be in charge of the maintaining all the interiors and the housekeeping, etc., etc. But several decades back, when Dr. Govindasamy Venkatappa went to US, he was totally amazed when he visited McDonald's, and he saw that in the food industry they are trying to do the assembly line approach. So the assembly line approach, immediately he was thinking that. So already he was having Dr. Venkatappa Govindappa. Actually, he has served in military, and due to some injury, he has come back and started his hospital here. And the moment he started the hospital, he could find out that there are huge number of patients suffering from cataract as well as the other eye ailments, and he wanted to solve all these problems. And really, he started empathizing on them, but he was not having a solution. But after his US visit, he got an idea. Then he tried to have an assembly line approach for his hospital. That means his volunteers will go and do a survey and figure out the patients who are required to go for the cataract surgery on a particular day. These people will assemble for the eye camp. In the eye camp, tents will be there, and the first camp, a nurse will put the drop of eye drops for all the patients, 100 patients or 1,000 patients. She will only do that job, and another person will do the dilation and take down the readings. And after that, junior doctor will do the examination, and then the patient will go to the third bed, and where he will get operated, and after that, the post-operative care will be taken care. So almost like a factory assembly line approach, he was running the hospital without compromising on the health and safety of the patients. So that's how he was able to solve issues for millions of patients. Not only that, he was also able to come out with a cataract lens, intraocular lens, which was costing almost $250. He was able to manufacture that at the cost of around $10. That is how, because he was empathizing with the customers and he was constantly looking for innovative solutions. And the innovative solutions happened as a prototype and a test it and an iteration. So he was not taking several months to come out with the prototype. So though the term, when during his time, the term design thinking was not familiar to all, but he was unknowingly applying design thinking. So this is a classic Desi Indian example of Arvind Hospital. Then let me move on. Any questions? And how much more time we have? We have another half an hour, I guess. Let me quickly rush through all that. Okay, so I think all of us are familiar with this parachute coconut hair oil. So this is from Marico Industries. Marico Industries, originally they were selling coconut oil only in bulk. Bulk means in tin. So maybe 50 liters tin. So made of the metallic containers, square cross section, right? Such kind of tin. So they used to sell, but their quality was very best. And all the resellers used to buy coconut oil from Marico Industry because of the quality and the aroma. And then these sellers used to put it in a bottle and then sell. And one of the sales folks found that they are selling it at a higher profit. Why not we do this? Why not we come out with smaller packs and then sell it in the market so that we'll make more money out of it? So apart from B2B, why not we go for B2C? So that idea when it came, so again they tried to come out with a small metallic tin, probably 100 ml or something like that, right? So as you know, the metallic tin will be having a square cross section, rectangular length, but they try to scale it down to a smaller tin. So for example, if the bigger tin is measuring 50 liters, the smaller tin will measure only 50 ml. So then they try to sell the retail products and the sales went up. But after some time, they felt that the metallic containers are not attractive and plastics was very much becoming popular. All this happened way back in 80s and 90s. So and then they thought that let's make plastic containers. So instead of the metallic containers, they came out with the plastic containers. Same design, same square shaped container with the square cross section. But there was a problem for coming from the dealer side, right? The dealers and the end sellers. So because of the nice aroma, these plastic containers, they were all bitten by rats. And immediately the moment the rat bites it, the oil started leaking. And then the entire shop became a mess. And the retailers, they were not keen in buying from Marico Industries no longer. And in fact, many of them, they are not shared the reason why they are not willing to buy. So proactively, Marico Industry went and then figured out why they are not buying from them. And then now they have identified a problem. So the container, since from metal, they have switched over to plastic. Then the problem has come. So the problem is identified. Now they have to come out with a solution, right? So this is when they were unable to come out with a concrete solution. Any idea how this can be resolved? A plastic container, they are all bitten by the rats when they are stored in the shop or godown. How they try to achieve resolve this solution?
Actually, they have made it round so that rat can't bite it. The shape of that container, the rat could not bite. That's the reason.
Exactly. Pratip, you are right. So actually, it was not happening just like that. When this issue was discussed, the founder, Harsh, the founder of the Marico Industries, he hired a person called Bindu Madhavan, who is a packaging expert. Bindu Madhavan and his team members, they tried to come out with this kind of packaging, right? So the circular in cross section, cylindrical in shape, and there were no place you have sharp edge. So only the rats were able to catch hold of the container when it had a sharp edge. But since this is a round one and made of hard plastic, the rats could not do this. So that's how they came out with the problem. But when these things were sent to the customers, still the customers were a little hesitant. And now the problem is still not resolved. So then any idea of how they resolve this issue?
that notch, the drop notch, that is the place where you can hold the parachute.
No, so the issue now
Bottle.
is
That is the
I
place
have
where
come out with an innovative design, but still my customers are not accepting it. I have to do something different. What can be done?
that flip type cover. I think earlier parachute was.
No. The product is perfect in terms of rat biting. It is all taken care. But the sales people or the shop owners, they
Buy
are
one,
still
get
having
one
some
free.
doubt, right? So they think that plastic, again, it is plastic, rat will bite it, and mentally they are not prepared. How to overcome this mental issue, mental barrier?
Give an offer as buy one, get one free.
Good one, good one.
No, I think
Anything else?
it was marketing of 100% pure. That it is not plastic issued, it's 100% pure. That was
Okay.
marketing.
So thank you so much for all your responses. So what they have done is they try to take out a cage and then put 2 or 3 bottles there, and they had a couple of rats there, right? And then they started recording it. So for almost 24 hours, they started recording it, and the rats, though they were smelling it, they could not hold of it. And the recorded cassette was sent to all the dealers. So those days, so remember 80s and 90s, only cassettes used to be popular. So they recorded that, and the cassettes were sent to them. And the moment that the dealers saw the cassette, they were totally convinced. So then they made huge profit from this line of business. So they become market leaders. Their market share on the oil went up like anything. So this is again a classic example for design thinking. For example, number 1, they started empathizing on the customer problems or your immediate customer problem. Then they try to come out with the definition and then innovative ideas. And the first innovative idea alone will not be sufficient. You have to keep on iterating by taking feedback and then testing. So this is the second classic example. Then the third one, I think again, since I guess most of you are chemical engineers here, I guess, so from profile I see. So this is an example for refinery industry. So as you all know, refinery industry not only produces fuel, it is also consuming certain amount of fuel, internal fuel. And because of that, pollution is generated. And mostly the refinery complexes, they are polluted with carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, hydrogen sulfide, nitrous oxide, etc., etc. So to offset that, you are supposed to cultivate a green belt, right? Depending on the size and throughput of your refinery. So in fact, many times now we randomly plant some tree just for the sake of it. So in fact, in one of the refineries, they planted eucalyptus trees, and the eucalyptus trees does not have much greener leaves and branches. In fact, they used to absorb moisture from air. The roots of the eucalyptus trees absorb 500 liters of water per day. And because of that, when in one of the refineries, the crude tanks started tilting. So it was not proven, but it may be due to that. But when Reliance Industries, they constructed Jamnagar refinery in 98, they again have to construct a huge green belt because it is the largest refinery complex in the entire world. And here what they have done is, and again, this refinery is designed as a zero discharge refinery. That means none of the effluent will go outside. Everything will be treated and consumed inside as either as a cooling tower water or utility water, etc. So what they have done is that they have gone for primary treatment, secondary, tertiary treatment. And finally, they decided to cultivate a mango orchard instead of randomly planting any tree. So, and the recycled water was used for irrigation. And as on date, 600 acres of land is used for the green belt, and they grow 130 different types of mango. So it is called Dhirubhai Ambani mango orchard. I forgot the Hindi name. So it is so popular, and today, not only Reliance is the largest refiner, Reliance Orchard is the largest exporter of mango in the entire world. So the same theme or the idea has been emulated by the nearby refinery called SR Refinery. They are probably the second largest exporter of mango. So again, no, you are trying to come out with out-of-box thinking and make it practically feasible, right? So it is not just an idea. They try to make it feasible, and they started a new line of business. These are all classic examples of Desi design thinking. Then let me move on to another example. Apart from corporate example, let me move on to the NGO side, a non-government organization. So there is a organization in Maharashtra called Aram. So the Aram NGO, when they visited all the rural children studying the rural schools where the poor underprivileged children are studying, they were not having any neither desk nor bench, nothing like that. So they have to bend their back and then write it on the notebooks which are kept on the floor. They felt they started again empathizing and they wanted to come out with an innovative idea. And at the same time, since they are NGO, they may not have much money to spend. So finally, what they have done is they started collecting the carton boxes from the old paper vendors. So the used cartons, they are all disposed to the paper wala, and from there they collected all that, and then using a template they designed. They came out with a stencil, and then they designed a school bag kind of thing, or a bench desk kind of thing. See here. So this is how they cut the carton with the holes and then slots. And when it is assembled, it can be used as a desk in the classroom. And at the end of this day, the children can again use it as a school bag. So this is known as help desk. So all these were made available at less than 10 rupees for the children. So many times, we think innovation means it is costly. It should be costly, and we have to put all kind of efforts to come out with ideas. The innovation need not be costly. Even in the MRI scan machine, they have not done any fundamental changes. They only made the change in the user interface. The idea is you have to empathize and understand the problem and finally come out with a solution. This is another classic case. And this is a product from Godrej called Chotu Cool. Have you ever heard about Chotu Cool? This is a portable fridge, so which can be carried on your head. So which can be ported anywhere in your house, and it runs on battery and does not have a regular compressor. We have a different kind of mechanism there. Actually, along with the Harvard University Godrej design team, they came out with this. And this can be used, no power requirement is there because it is battery operated. It does not occupy much of your space because there is meant for underprivileged people who already have a single bedroom apartment or even a hut. Third one, this can be, what is that? You don't have to. Cost of it is around 3,000 rupees. It is not like 15,000, 30,000 rupees like a regular fridge. Just the 3,500 rupees. And finally, this was also delivered using India postage. So anyone can order it. And since the post office is having a wide network across India, so they leverage the service of India Post to deliver it. So this is Chotu Cool. Have you, any one of you have heard about this product? Yes or no? No. Okay. So even I was not aware of it until I was trying to do this design thinking program where I was doing a little bit of research. So the reason is that this product has become failure. It has got all kind of benefits, but that became a failure. Any idea why it became failure? This is very important. So this message coming out of this slide is very important. So many times as an entrepreneur, we do this mistake like Godrej. Any idea why this failed?
People had electricity and they can use electricity much cheaper than battery.
Okay. But this was aimed for people who are not having electricity, but literally underprivileged people or people who have petty shops, kind of. Even you can keep your pond there, so the pond will be wet, fresh.
One is the cost of, otherwise cost of battery is high also.
Okay, so let me give the answer. The reason is, though it has got a lot of advantage, so they were trying to compare this Chotu Cool with any other brand. So their own brand, for example, Godrej has got 160 liter domestic fridge or Kelvinator or Alvin kind of fridge. They were trying to compare this, and the reality, they should have compared this with the current practice. So currently, the village people, they used to have a pot to keep all their milk, curd, etc., etc. The pot will be kept on a wet sand, which will be taken care. or most of the time they go buy and buy fresh vegetables, which is just a few feet from their house, right? So they go to market, or every morning they have something like a Sunday, they go and buy the fresh vegetables. There is no need. So they fail to compare the present practice. Instead, they try to compare with the current version of the bridge. So in fact, if you see the very first step of the 5-step process, they assume that there is a market for this product. So they have not done the empathy interview process. So if they have understood the design thinking process, they should have done a survey, right? So and they came out with the product even instead of doing a prototype. So ideal situation, they should have done the empathy interview, and even if few people opted for it, then they should have come out with the prototype and then test it in the market and then see whether it is successful, and then finally they should have launched it. So that is the saddest part. Many times we sit in the AC room and try to understand that this is going to be the pain area and this is going to be my solution, and finally at the end it bombs, right? It never taken up in the market. So try to validate the end customer or customer's customer whether there is a real genuine problem statement is there and whether they are looking for a solution. So some time back I gave an example, the food box. I said that the viability was missing. In this case, the desirability is missing. The desirability is not validated. Okay, shall I go on? Okay. So then there is another company called the Zip Dial. So let me see how many more slides are there. 6 more slides are there. Okay, let me rush through. And if you have any question, please stop me. So I don't think we need to discuss questions at the end. If you have any questions, you can stop me even now. Okay. So this is actually a Zip Dial. This is a company. So they came out with an innovative idea saying that, so for example, many companies, they have a lot of new products, new offerings. They want to take it to market. And what they do, they try to put an ad and then expect the customer to click that link and then go to come to our website to know more about this, or come to our YouTube channel to get a demonstration of our products. But hardly customers, they don't pay attention, right? So if you target 500 customers, only 5 of them may come back to your website or come back or go through your literature or product. Even in exhibition, you start distributing pamphlets, hardly people care to get into the product. So that's when Zip Dial has come out with this idea. All you have to do is, the end customer, they have to give a missed call for a particular product. For example, if I am coming out with the product, for example, say I come out with a new camera, right? A new camera. So I'll say that if you want to know more, just to give a missed call to this number. So I have tied up with Zip Dial. So the moment the missed call is given, then immediately as a vendor, as a solution provider, I'll share all the details in your smartphone. So hassle free, right? See, the customer, since it's a missed call, he has not spent anything. So this is pretty much useful where actually, of course, this concept was started way back 2010 or so. So decade back, where at the time the bandwidth was a prime issue for the least privileged people. They don't want to browse using their data plan, right? So now they're only if they are interested, they have to click that link. Otherwise, they don't have to bother. And in fact, the Zip Dial is also used by political parties, right? I think some of you are aware that parties like Aam Aadmi parties, Bharatiya Janata Party, so they used to enroll new members by asking people to give a missed call. So they have given a dedicated number. Once you give a missed call, then immediately the link will be provided and where you can go and fill up the details and pay subscription and they become the party member. So everything can happen in 5 minutes. You don't have to come to the party office. You don't have to fill up any survey form in the desktop or something like that. So that's how they have come out with innovative ideas. Okay, so now here, this is again an NGO initiative. So in Maharashtra, an NGO found that a particular tribe, a particular group of tribe people, they had iodine deficiency. So the iodine deficiency will have long-term implication. So it will affect thyroid and the physical growth will be affected. So the moment that they started distributing iodine dispensed medicines, people were not taking it seriously. And then they started distributing iodized salt. Again, people were reluctant. Finally, they came out with an innovative idea. Any guess? The clue is here, the picture.
Yeah, it is Bindi. It is mentioned there.
Any idea how it works?
By way of sweating, something like that.
Yeah. So this is actually iodine embedded bindi. So they started with distributing 30 bindis for 1 month to every individual, and people happily put it in their forehead. So this will contain 100 to 150 microgram of iodine. So if this bindi is born for 8 hours, then that intake will go inside. So that's how they resolved it. So people come out with a lot of out-of-box thinking, and also they were able to scale it up. It is not done on an experimental basis on a one particular house or something like that. So the entire community, they did this, and probably some of them would have these kind of initiatives would have died because lack of cooperation from some other agencies, because most of this stuff, they need to happen along with the cooperation from some government agencies. So maybe because of the reason you collapsed, but as a startup initiative, it has successfully been implemented. So then again, coming back to another sector, manufacturing sector, ACC Cement, they also felt that they want to differentiate themselves as a leading cement vendor. And one of the pain areas, so the pain area need not be the end customer. So even the pain areas sometimes will be very obvious. You don't have to do empathy interview. For example, cement material used to be sold in sack, right? As the jute sack. And as you would have personally seen while you are constructing your own house, you would have felt that so much of losses are there because the jute containers, they will not be foolproof, leak proof. And not only the material, some amount of cement which is costly, it is lost. It is also resulting in pollution, and especially the people who carry these sacks. So that is when they came out with what is that? Polymer materials, different kind of polymer materials. They try to come out with woven polysocks, which are little eco-friendly, as well as withstand the handling of the cement, because cement bags are heavy and they should withstand the entire supply chain process. And that's how they came out with that. Not only in the packaging, they made innovation. They also tried to come out with a different kind of brands like gold, silver, water shield, long life, etc., etc. Customized cement solutions for different kind of applications. For example, for constructing dam and critical infrastructure, you require a particular kind of cement. For domestic construction, you require a different kind of cement. Not only that, they came out with the ready-mix concrete, all that. So it is all host of primarily trying to brainstorm within internal employees, and came out with innovative ideas, and then come out with prototypes and test it, and then finally they become a huge success. So let me close our session with one important slide. So this is very important. So to come out with an innovative solution, two things are vital. One is a strong idea. Yeah, idea should be very, very strong. The second thing is an execution. Any idea, which one is important? Idea or execution?
Both.
Huh?
Both, sir.
Both, correct. So for example, I am giving idea, I am giving score here, right? A weak idea has got $1 worth. A good idea has got $10 worth. A brilliant idea has got $100 worth. So and the execution part, if it is weakly implemented, that means it has got bugs, errors, some deficiency, it is weakly implemented. So it means everything together, even marketing is not done properly. So partially it is successful. The weak implementation has got $100, $1,000 worth. A good one has got $10,000 worth. A brilliant execution, that means you select the best brains and then make a foolproof solution, and then everything is executed. That means it is a brilliant execution which has got 100 million. So here the final value for the vendor is product of idea and execution. For example, I hope you are able to see my cursor movement. You can take a brilliant idea and execute in a good manner. So either weak manner or good manner. I assume that I am doing it in a good manner. So the value worth will be 100 into 10,000. So that means 1 million, not 1 million. So suppose brilliant and weak, 100 into 1000, then 1 lakh. So instead, I can take a weak idea. So the idea need not be transformational in nature. The idea can be small incremental change, but I execute in a brilliant manner. 1 into 1 million, that is going to be the end product. Value addition is so huge. For example, sometimes even companies, they don't come out with new ideas. They try to copy ideas from others, but they execute to suit their local requirements, or they try to come out with a betterment of the ideas. For example, Ola and Uber are same. Uber is the first one who has come out with the mobile taxi booking. But Ola has understood the Indian conditions and then came out with a similar solution. And the market share, I don't know the exact percentage, but they have 1 minute. So they have a equal presence in the market because they are done a fantastic implementation. So another example is if you take Instagram, 5 to 6 years back, it is the features are nothing, right? You can take a picture and then share it with your friends. That's all. But slowly, Instagram as a startup, the major difference between startup company is they during recruitment they hire the best of the talent and they pay them 3 times or 4 times than the conventional organization, and they ensure that the entire startup community from top to bottom, they are all fully aligned. So they will never give you excuse. And if someone is not aligning, they will be checked out. So they will be fired. But they do a fantastic execution. That means, for example, Instagram has got 700 million users. So assume that 10% of the users are using the Instagram application, that is 70 million users, and upload, download this content. Everything should happen in a seamless fashion. So there should not be any time delay. Even if there is a time delay of 30 seconds, people will unsubscribe it. Right? So that is how they executed the implementation. And finally, it was acquired by Facebook. Instagram was acquired by Facebook, and today you have got several other features. And any idea how much, for how many dollars they have acquired Instagram by Facebook? So Instagram basically does not have any big features.
I think close to $1 billion.
How much?
Close to $1 billion.
Absolutely. So close to $1 billion, right? So most of the startups, they do that. So they do it in a fantastic manner. And finally, if someone is ready to acquire that, then they slowly sell it and then they get retired. So this is the order of the day. So, but your product should have absolute flawless mechanism, and you should have a huge subscription base. So not for the features they have acquired, it is because of the customer base they have acquired. So these are all some classic examples. And with that, I conclude here. And these are my coordinates, my contact number and the email ID are here. And with that, I conclude this session. And probably we can, since we have started a little late, we can take now exactly time is 12 o'clock. And we can, with the permission of the XCOM, we can spend 5 to 10 minutes having Q&A session. Any questions? And some of you would be already be implementing all this, but it can be a reiteration for those who are already implemented. Any questions?
Exciting session, Dr. Sundararaman. I'm sure all of us had a lot of plenty of takeaways. We'll keep the floor open for question and answers. Participants, please unmute and ask questions, please.
Yes, very good morning, sir.
Good morning, Niklesh. Tell me.
Yes, this actually, can you please bring up this last slide which you have displayed?
Sir?
Last slide, please.
Oh, yeah. I got a detail or the previous one?
The last slide.
Oh, yeah. So what I was saying was the idea need not be original, idea need not be transformational. It can be a small idea, but if it is going to be implemented in a proper manner, so then the value addition is so huge.
Yes, sir. Nowadays, there are n number of entrepreneurs being emerging from our India, right? As Make in India started,
Sheila.
yeah. So from Okay, it has been started, the emerging number of entrepreneurs are being increased, but how much people are getting it and making it successful? You have given a clear word about ideology and making it execution, but what is missing in my point of view, if you may correct, because you're a senior person, is a support. A word support, or the people who are supporting this concept, is more strategically very much important than any other things that being executed in a better manner. Whatever your ideology may be, whatever your execution may be, but a supportive environment and a supportive people can only take this any ideology to a success manner. As you said, Facebook, as you said, Instagram, as you said, WhatsApp, it had a very great support of people from the environment, from the surrounding. That's what
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. So in fact, in the last as on last year, India has got 100 unicorn companies. Unicorn companies meaning more than $1 billion valuation, right? So how this has happened is so primarily actually the viability part is not taken care, right? So for example, there are few vendors, Swiggy, Zomato, so all these they were not very successful on day one, and they are not making profitable. So what they try to do is they are trying to understand the pain area and then successfully able to demonstrate that they can resolve the pain areas. And their goal is not to make it profit from the customer, right? So as on date, even some of them, they even will be wondering how is that they are able to do all this at such a fraction of cost, right? So it doesn't make sense to do that. So how they are able to do is they are trying to build a strong customer base in a sustainable manner, and then finally demonstrate in front of the venture capital groups, right? So the moment today the venture capital is very active. So many NRIs, they are ready to invest, and you have angel investors. So many investors are there. Even the celebrities like the cricketers, cine actors, they are all investing, right? So even Tamil actors, they are spending on agro farming. So many things are there. So if you are able to impress upon them, so like I think many of you are familiar with the Shark Tank kind of approach. If you are able to do that, and if you are able to win the confidence of the venture capital, they are going to pump in money, and this whatever the money you have pumped in, so that will be helpful to stabilize yourself. And of course, the moment you start receiving the fund, the pressure on the CEO is very high because the expectation is also very high. So that is where the major support is coming. So it is not that Government of India can immediately give you an order and then support it. I don't think government can do much. So only way is to take inputs from the venture capital, but that comes with the caveat, right? So the expectation from the investors will be very high. So they will expect you to come back with 2x return within a year or 2 years, something like that. So it is not that easy.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes, thank you.
Yeah. Hi, this is Naresh Hinduja here. Good afternoon.
Yes,
it was awesome today. I have two-part question to you. One is, let's take an example of Oyo. It's posted a 333 crore loss in the last quarter, but it's got a huge subscription. Oyo rooms. Oyo. Yeah. So the thing is, what impression we get is that making a profit doesn't seem to be important, but having a huge subscription base is what matters. And then you somehow get some lot of investors who are willing to sink their money in it, and we don't know to what end that happens. So could you shed some light? What is this kind of thinking? And there's one more question of an exactly opposite type. So I got a friend who's got 10 patents of a highly profitable component, and he's struggling to get hold of an investor. How do you approach these two different situations?
Yes. So today, actually, this is actually a little bit of a myth is there. So some kind of what is that? It is not very clear, right? So how come they are able to survive when the very first year they find out for loss? So it is actually tricky. Even I am unable to get insight unless I interact with such kind of people. It is very difficult. But at least the one is customer base. So that's why even if it is quite common even nowadays the hotels when they open a new branch. For example, something like Manoj Bhavan, they opened a restaurant in Ashok Nagar for almost 2 months. They were able to provide breakfast for 30 rupees. And immediately by word of mouth, everyone started going there, and then they started having a huge base. So that is a different kind of approach. So totally the marketing and then as well the financial management is taking a new order of the day, right? So this is how. So the moment you have customer and one fine day, slowly they start to hike the price. So till that time, internally you should have a business plan saying that I am going to make loss. I am going to I'll not make profit for 1 year. So that's how you have to get your investors convinced, right? So then if you are able to walk the talk and talk the walk, if you are able to at least build a customer base, the investors will be happy. So as on date, I have built around 10,000 customers. So now once you do that, whether it is ethical or not, I don't have an answer, right? So things are slowly changing. So little every one of us, become a little greedy, and then the ethical part, it is very difficult to define. But once you become inseparable, right, then you have the freedom to jack up your price. So it is also applicable for your mobile operators. So I think whether it is Reliance or Jio, so all of a sudden they change the plan and then hike, and we don't have a say in that. So that is the Western way of running a business, which is also globalized today.
Okay, what about the second part? What about the second part? So I've got a friend who's got patents for a highly profitable product, and the thing is he's struggling to find investors. He doesn't know where to start.
So you mean he has got patents, but he does not know how to implement it? Is that right?
Yes. So how to get investors for it?
Yeah, I don't think patent is vital for starting a business. So as I said, no, even a small idea, you can start a business.
No,
patent,
what I meant was he's got patents plus a highly profitable product.
Okay.
So for the product, he's even got patents. That's an added advantage. I was not making that as a base point, but having such a good thing, many entrepreneurs struggle in trying to locate right investors for it.
So now probably at this point of time, probably I may have to talk one of my other areas. So today I talk a lot about business storytelling, right? So in fact, I am writing a book which will be released next month. So I think many times the communication plays a vital role, whether you go and pitch your solution in front of customer or even after establishing within your own team. I think people only talk in numbers. The informal way of building rapport. So the storytelling part is missing. That's why business storytelling is also becoming a very, very vital thing today. So whether it is corporate world or a startup world. So I think in your case, whatever you said, I don't have much details unless I hear more details from you. So there could be many other reasons, but I suspect one of the reasons may be due to poor communication, maybe.
No, I think the timing of the product, right? For example, in India,
so many factors.
Yeah, sports bikes, did not do well when Yamaha or somebody launched during 90s. Then Royal Enfield, they started something like what they call, Himalayan tour or something, and that actually, made many youngsters buy, even an expensive Royal Enfield type, bullet bikes, and so they made a concept a little bit of viral, and the timing also, people could not afford it in the sports bikes in 90s, but nowadays every other guy is having a very, even though whether the road traffic allows or not, everybody seems to have a sports bike.
So one more point I would forget to tell is when I mentioned about 100 unicorn companies, most of the time we only study the case study of the successful companies, right? But if 100 unicorn companies are there, 1,000 companies would have failed. Probably it's high time we listen to them and what made them, so what happened, why they failed. So that will be a valuable input rather than trying to learn lessons from the successful companies. The successful companies, sometimes even luck would have played and even timing would have played. So many other factors are there. But if we are able to find out lessons from the failure companies, then that will be a great insight.
So can I
say, I just just I wanted to mention, because people here, they wanted to talk about startup companies, and I think the discussion was also going ahead. As rightly you mentioned, you said about those companies which are unicorn, there could be 100. That is what the government of India says right now, projects. Yes, stories are much bigger stories are those companies which could not make it. Yes, but struggle is also of the investor who pumps in money, and those companies where I mean, the 100 companies could return them good amount of return on investment, but whereas those companies where there is failure, a lot of people would have lost their money. I believe that there should be a true mechanism of valuation. Everything goes by valuation. They value a company like, say, Zomato or something which is still making loss, and it will be valued at an astronomical value. But but what happens to the true? I mean, one of our listeners to your speech, I mean, he mentioned about a friend who has 10 patents and 10 innovative ideas and very profitable, and he really struggles to make it. Maybe those 10 inventions can make somebody's life easier, rather than making money could be the part of the person who puts the idea, but it could change the life or make the life easy for most of the people across the globe. So that is not taken. And rightly, as one person said about the everything is about the customer behavior. I really don't know. I think we are all at the age when we started earning, and the first bike we purchased was like Hero Honda Splendor or Hero Honda CD100, which is the highest mileage bike. Now, nobody watches at mileage. When the petrol was around 29 rupees, I remember when I purchased the first vehicle, 29 rupees, we were eager to buy the bike which gives you 70 kilometers per liter mileage. But today, no bikes give you more than 40, whereas the petrol price is above 100 rupees. But maybe the cost of living or the customer behavior is different. So, could be the two things, there are investors who have lost money. That could be the negative impact, that new ideas don't get investment, and the right time of pitching or the customer behavior, that could be the part that people are not able to put in their solutions at the right time.
Sir, I would
Any
like
other question, any thoughts?
Yeah, you said the Stanford B-School 5-step process. I think vital after that, there's a 6th step which I think is very important, is seed marketing, because you also were mentioning customer. Ultimately, your customer has to go to the market, and those are the people who have to approve or reject your idea or product or your thing. So the 6th step or a corollary to this 5 must be seed marketing, which also will address Mr. Naresh Hinduja's thing. Instead of sitting on a patent, you make a product and try to move it into the market, and then you will get the feedback, and that feedback you can keep, it's like a feedback loop. You can keep improvising and innovating and making it better, maybe cutting down cost. Then you get the pain points. Maybe it is, so I think as an extension to the 5 step is the 6th step is seed marketing. Your comments, please.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. Many of us don't know where to pitch. So actually,
nothing like the customer, no, because you may, instead of making a full-fledged assembly plant, start making at least, I know Anabond, which is now, I think, 250, 300 crore company. Dr. Vijay Kumar used to actually, he was competing with Loctite. So he used to go to the TVS, Murugappa of the world and give samples, get feedback, again, improve on the product, again, give samples. Actually, he was trying to give them solution. He was with the IG car. And guess what? When he launched a commercial product, all the people who were testing his products became his customers, because they have developed the product, actually. I mean, they felt that they are also part of the product development. And today, they were proper. He used to give samples, get feedback. So that is how Dr. Vijay Kumar, today, I think 200, 300 crore is Anabond size of the company. And that machine, where he didn't have money to buy a stirrer, so he improvised a drilling machine that is kept in their lobby. If you go to their lobby, you can see the drilling machine which he bought for 5,000 rupees, which he used as a stirrer. And that's a very inspiring story for all of us.
Handle.
Yeah. A drilling machine with because he didn't have money to buy a stirrer for formulating his adhesives.
Right.
So it is kept in the reception of his reception in this estate, Vikram Sarabhai estate in Taramani, Thiruvanmiyur. It is still kept in the reception. So it's possible that you can do seed marketing. You can go to the customers, get their opinion, come back, improve on it. Rather than talking to scientists and professors, actually that's a much better, because they'll give you honest opinion whether your product will fly or not.
I think there is a question about where can we go and figure out the investors forum. I right now don't have a clue, but I think even in India, something like a Shark Tank is there, and a lot of I have personally known people who are making investment even in Chennai as an individual, but I don't know the forum. Probably we can, if I come across, then I'll share it with you. Or other members in the group can. So
Sorry.
I think yeah,
your point is correct, but it has to be known to everyone. That's an open forum, right? Like Shark Tank is like an open forum where everyone can get approached to it. Getting succeeded through is different, but getting known is a basic quality that investor or the people who are trying to get through some business is what a basic thing. But if it is not known to everyone, even the point which you said is not known to me. Even the people who of the participants are here, I don't think much be known to them.
I don't know the actual specific name, but I have seen YouTube videos where Indian people, the Indian investors, they interview the entrepreneurs and then take a spot decision and then make an investment. So primarily the actors and other celebrities. But I think ideapatri.com. But I think Google, if you the YouTube, we can find out. So the real recording of the decision making is happening.
Okay, thank you.
I think we are covered most of the questions and discussions. So thank you so much for being an interactive audience. Let me hand over back to Mr. Gopi for closing thoughts.
So, one last question to Mr. Pratap wants to ask you one last question, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Pratap, please go on.
So this is a very good presentation. I really liked it, and especially your slide on desirability, feasibility, and viability. Sir, I run a company called Kana Mattress. It's a company called Kana Mattress, where we make couple cotton mattress, pillows, cushions, and it's a very traditional product, but we have modernized it and offering it in a new design and all that. So all these 3 points are meeting. So we are hitting that sweet spot every time in terms of price, in terms of customer experience, everything. But scalability is it's a problem, sir. So year on year, we started with like 1 mattress, 2 mattress in a month, and now we have come up to like 15, 20 mattress. But we want to go to like 200, 500 per month. So how this scalability can be achieved faster?
Yeah, I understand your concern.
And we do not want to go take up any, so private equity fund or anything, like you said, that puts pressure on us, and that may not be conducive for our business or the way we want to do it. So,
sir, right now I don't have a solution. Probably we can connect offline. So I hope you have noted down my email number. So if possible, I'll try to come out with some solution. As a date, so immediately ad hoc I am unable to give a comment. So that I need to have a little one-to-one kind of discussion with you. So please get in touch with me.
thank you, sir.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, please put your contact details again, sir.
Sure, sir. Edition. Okay, sir, Mr. Gopi,
Right,
you
sir.
can.
Thank you very much for joining us on Sunday morning, sir.